All right, it's Ticket Blitz Friday from Murphy's in Cromwell.
5 o'clock. When
5
you get
o'clock.
done with the work day.
Ben will
Probably
start giving
already
stuff away.
Get
Do you have
out
any
here.
tickets for other stuff or any other awards?
No, this is just UConn football.
UConn.
Now, we do got some footballs. We got some new UConn Fox Sports footballs. We do have the ever-wanted, highly sought-after Rob Dibble Frisbee.
Where you could just throw the crap out of my face against anything.
Right. It's kind of like too thick of a Frisbee. It really
is. I'm giving you the warning.
Malik Neighbors should not be playing with that
It
Frisbee
is a dangerous Frisbee. There's sharp edges, and it can hurt your kids.
Great for your dog,
I think
though.
It should be for adults only.
Adults and dogs. Adults. It is a 21 and over Frisbee.
I can't tell you if Fido's mouth gets all cut up trying to bite on my face.
But the belle of the ball is the tickets. We've got 20 pair of UConn Buffalo tickets. We'll be starting to get people. All we need to do is get your name in an email. Boom, they ship right to your phone. As soon as you get them, you will have tickets by the time you walk out the door here at Murphy's in Cromwell. Again, 20 pairs while supplies last. Buffalo, UConn.
And scream your guts
out.
Yeah,
we really need
we gotta
people.
beat Buffalo.
Loud and obnoxious people. Please, we really need you in the ballpark. Because
Yeah.
it is a factor, dude. It is a factor.
It's a huge factor. These kids deserve it. They've been playing their guts out, and they need your help.
Major League Baseball coming to a close in its regular season. The Dodgers are in. The Yankees are in. The Yankees' big celebration last night. You called it, man. You knew they were going to do it.
You were like, no way they celebrate if they just win the division. And I'm like, these guys, man.
Do they know the history of the team? Like, I'm not a Yankees fan, man, and I would even, if I was in that clubhouse, be like, listen, boys, this is great and all, but there are so much bigger fish to fry. The Yankees of the past would not even want to hear the conversation of us winning the division in 2020. Who cares? Who cares? In Yankees land, that is an average year. That's an average year. ALCS championship, World Series championship, that's when, to me, if you're a Yankee, that's when you pop the corks.
If you're a Red Sox fan, are you annoyed right now by Alex Verdugo celebrating a home run when it's 9? I know John Ashmead's a huge Red Sox fan sitting behind me. He's shaking his head yes, because I'm neither. I mean, I do, yes, I watched all of the games of the Red Sox, Yankees, Mets. My wife's a huge Red Sox fan, but I'm annoyed right now. You're winning. You're going to the postseason. You're the team you're playing.
Like
the Orioles are going to the postseason. You're in the same division. Act like you've been there before. You hit this meaningless 9-0 late game home run, and you're celebrating it like you just won the ALCS playoff with a home run. I was annoyed to no end on this guy. You're hitting 234. First of all, if you were hitting 234 when I was playing, you'd be sitting the bench or you're in the minor leagues. And, by the way, he is sitting the bench because they've been playing what's-his-face a lot more.
Jason Dominguez.
Dominguez trying to get him ready for the postseason. But Verdugo, man, you're too much of a showboat for my liking. Like Aaron Judge hits his 58th home run. This guy, he's one of the best things going in baseball. Juan Soto continues to impress. But look at Judge's numbers: 58, 144, leading the team in hits with 180. Could win the Triple Crown. He's hitting 325. You were telling me Bobby Wood Jr. is hitting 331.
332.
332.
7 points
so
away,
he can make that up. He can make that up. But you got this guy over-celebrating, and then you go in and you're celebrating like you've never won anything in your life.
9-0 at the time.
But you just did it 3 days ago when you celebrated making the postseason. Now you have the best record in the American League.
We must have extra champagne.
You could get home field advantage in the American League through the World Series if you continue to win and beat the Cleveland Guardians record. So that should be your eye on the prize. That should be what the Yankees are trying to do, because that'll make your life a lot easier. But
well, let me give you that. Right now, 92-67 versus 93-66. Yankees have a one-game lead over the Cleveland Guardians going into the weekend for the overall number one in the AL. Also, Phillies versus the Dodgers in that regard. Same situation. One-game lead for the Dodgers over top the Phillies. Now 95
and Freddie
wins.
Freeman went out with an injury last night.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dodgers could be in some hot water.
Well, they could, or they could win the rest of their games and not only have home field advantage in the NL, but also in the World Series. They'd have the number one overall record in Major League Baseball. The wild card is where it's at, my friend. The wild card in the AL now is very hot just because of Kansas City, Detroit vying for position.
I just think Detroit Tigers is going to sneak up on some teams, man. Don't take those guys lightly. They are the most on-fire team in Major League Baseball right now.
So winner would take on Baltimore. Loser would take on Houston right now.
Yep.
So I'm sort of rooting for Detroit to get the 6th spot because I just think it would be special for Hinch taking his Tigers to Houston for that wild card series. I think that would be cool. But it doesn't look – Minnesota is 3 games back. They need an absolute collapse from one of these teams, and they need to step into the fold.
But
and then they'd have an extra game.
If Kansas City wins and Detroit wins tonight, they both punch their ticket to the postseason.
Right.
It's in your court. That's what I'm saying.
In the NL side, we've been going over this every single day for the last 2 weeks. The New York Mets, the Arizona Diamondbacks right now are knotted.
Neck and neck.
However, as Dibbs explained, the Diamondbacks do have an extra game on top of the Mets because they got to make that up against the Braves perhaps on Monday for that doubleheader.
And the Braves and the Diamondbacks both have 71 losses right now. Mets only have 70, so that's a plus for the Mets.
Right. Now, the Braves, just being a game back from both of those, they can't afford any losses right now, and they got to hope that the Mets and the Diamondbacks slip up.
And here's the thing, though, with both clubs, and Chris Sale just got his 18th win of the season last night and has been amazing all year. Now you have to use your best pitchers to clinch.
Right.
The Braves have to use their best. Diamondbacks, Mets, you all have to go with your best pitchers just to get in, and that helps the other teams in the playoffs because you can't rest your pitchers. San Diego can rest their guys and get them ready and their rotation ready. The Dodgers can get their rotation ready. Phillies can get their rotation ready. But those wild card teams still, other than the Mets and Diamondbacks and Braves, cannot get their rotation right. They have to use all their guns just to get in.
So it would look like the Padres will be your 4th seed, which will take on the 5th seed.
Yeah, they can't. Nobody can overtake them right now.
Now, the Diamondbacks are playing the Padres this weekend. It would be odd if they just then turn around and then start the wild card series with that matchup. It could happen. The Mets are playing the Brewers this weekend.
Yes.
They could turn around and have a wild card series with the Brewers right after they get done playing them to end their regular season. So that's where we're at as far as the standing goes for the weekend. And then everything will fall into place after Monday's doubleheader if needed again. They won't play those games if it's out of hand and the Braves just totally wet the bed this weekend, don't win any games. So the Braves, they are all hands on deck as well, like you said, with their pitching staff and trying to get everything ready just to win ball games for this weekend and not the playoffs.
I do like the gamesmanship tonight in Detroit. The White Sox push back Crochet, their best pitcher, so that he could face the
White
Detroit
Sox trying to win a baseball
They are.
game?
So Crochet, even though he's 6-12, he's got a 3.6 ERA, but he is one of the best in the major leagues right now. 203 strikeouts in 142 innings, 119 hits given up. But this guy is a flamethrower. Hannafy gets the White Sox for the Tigers, but White Sox are not going to lay down. I like Grady Sizemore. He said, these are our rivals. We are not going to just lay down in these next 3 games and let them get to the postseason. And as I said before, the best thing for a losing team that's not going to the postseason is to play spoiler. We did it in 89. We knocked the Padres out of the postseason. It carried over into the 90 season. Ultimately, we won the World Series in 90.
Right.
We were 5th place in our division in 89. We were a horrible team. But it's a bonding moment to try to knock the other team out. So the White Sox still have an opportunity to keep the Tigers from the postseason.
58 home runs, 140-plus RBI.
Disgusting. His numbers are disgusting.
325 with the average.
But look at his on-base percentage.
Oh, yeah. Top notch as well, but it won't get you the Triple Crown. 7 extra points and a slip from Bobby Witt will win Aaron Judge the Triple Crown. Now, the Yankees.
But Judge has a 461 on-base percentage.
Unreal.
It is unreal when everybody else has an on-base percentage of like around 300 or below 300.
Yankees are playing against the Guardians, basically, for that number 1 home field advantage in the AL. However, that could be done by tomorrow. Does Judge play? Does Judge do every at-bat?
First of all, there's 2 reasons why. He doesn't probably want to take time off, so you don't put him in the field because you've got enough outfielders to throw out there.
DH
Dominguez can play center. You could stick Verdugo, out in left field. But you could DH him. And this guy, he's just getting his at-bats and getting prepped for the postseason. At the same time, he's going for 60 home runs. He can scratch out enough hits to try to win the batting crown. That's it, more so than the Triple Crown. The batting average crown is huge. The batting title, whether it's Witt, whether it's Vladdy Jr., whether it's Aaron Judge, that is something that when you're talking 20, 30 years from now, that is one of the most respected things in statistics in baseball. So winning the batting average, the batting crown, home runs are one thing, RBIs are another thing. There's a ton of guys that hit a ton of home runs and stuff like that, and Judge will be remembered for that. But if this guy can win the Triple Crown, very few guys have ever done that in the history of the game.
I love the headline, Judge allows Ohtani's 50-50 ball auction to go on, as if it was like Aaron Judge. It's just a judge because the whole 18-year-old dispute thing.
Right.
But it'd just be funny if, like, Aaron Judge, nope, sorry, I say that it's – but Judge, if he plays DH – what happens to Giancarlo? Giancarlo's been playing good baseball lately. Does he need to keep in the lineup just to stay warm and not fall off after this break during the wild card series?
What if Soto needs a day off?
Soto does need a day off,
So here's the thing. Yeah. Sit Soto for a day. Put Giancarlo's butt out in the field.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I got no problem. Listen, in Giancarlo's at the point in his career, he's made a ton of money, and he wants to win a championship. You might want to just throw him out there and see what God forbid somebody gets hurt in the postseason. Or you don't take Dominguez, or even, how about this, you leave Verdugo off your postseason roster.
They ain't going to do that. I know if you were the GM, they would.
Listen, if I was a GM, I would, because he annoys the living heck out of me. But Stanton, to have to play the field, you might stick him out. Look, all right, so maybe Rizzo doesn't make it. So maybe Rizzo doesn't make your postseason run. There's a lot of reasons why these GMs are going to go with 13 pitchers in the postseason. That means you got 13 position players. So somebody's going to be the odd man out. It's going to be Cabrera, or it's going to be one of your backup players is not going to make the postseason roster. So right now, you're not going to take 5 outfielders or 6 outfielders. So somebody's going to be the odd man out, and Giancarlo Stanton's not going to be it because his bat, like you said, the home runs, the game-changing ability. Verdugo has not hit that well this season, hitting 236 or whatever he's hitting with 13 home runs. He's not a threat to me.
Right.
The threat is Giancarlo Stanton, healthy and hitting close to 30 home runs this season.
It's great to have options. Yankees feel like an all-star lineup. The Dodgers feel like an all-star lineup. I would say the Phillies are an all-star lineup. But when it comes to all-star lineups in the last couple of years for these playoffs, it's not been those teams in the World Series. Last year's Diamondbacks-Rangers was such an anomaly, especially the Diamondbacks. Barely got in, then found themselves in the World Series. Is there a team this year? I mean, all signs say Tigers, but I don't know.
All signs say Tigers, but the Diamondbacks are on the precipice.
You think they can do it again?
Yeah, I think the Diamondbacks could do it. But here's the team that I think is the team to beat: Mets.
What?
I think the Mets have been one of the steadiest, hottest teams in baseball. You've got a lot of guys. Alonso's playing for a huge contract. They've got the pitching finally. They've got the bullpen where you've got from the 6th inning on, you can shut teams down. So that to me is the difference maker with the New York Mets this season.
I think that you just nailed the big advantage they have that no one else does. 6, 7, 8, 9.
Excellent bullpen.
Right. Like they have, and they mix and match too. You know, obviously Diaz is the end-all be-all, and he's really been great lately.
But he'll pitch in the 7th or 8th now.
Well, they tinkered with that 8-9 save.
But listen, I love Ottavino. I love their bullpen. I love their rotation. But here's the thing. I also love the family atmosphere that I feel that the Mets have really embraced this season.
Great locker room.
It is a great locker room, and that's what wins you championships. And I think the Rangers had that last year. The Astros have had that in the past. You've seen a lot of these teams that have won championships recently. At the end of the day, they love each other. They love playing for each other. And it's the unselfish nature of the Mets this season. And Lindor has had an amazing year. But because the guy across the street in the Bronx is having such a ridiculous year, you don't realize how good Lindor has been.
Right.
Alonso's had another great year. You know, where everybody's talking about him in free agency. So I just think that, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on. But, you want to be the hot team going into the postseason, and right now the Mets and the Tigers, I feel, are two of the hottest.
Hopefully they can get there. That's the biggest thing. Tigers aren't there yet. Mets definitely have a big weekend and
Haven't
possibly
punched
a
their
big
tickets
Monday.
yet.
But I like what you're saying, man. That's the first time I've really thought about the closing situation and really the last 9 outs that we talk about a lot when it comes to these playoffs.
Been really good. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do Dibbles and Bits next.
That 2-card